Hi, it's the Irish Gypsy here to do your January 2016 tarot readings. I continue to use the Gilded Tarot deck, drawing 8 cards for the month, 2 cards for each week with an additional card as your overall theme and general feeling of the month. These are general readings, so they may not apply or resonate the same with everyone who watches. I suggest you also check your rising and your moon sign as well. I'd like to send out a special thank you for those of you who have been keeping me so busy with personal readings this month. It's really made scheduling quite an interesting and rewarding challenge. It's been an honor and a pleasure to meet all of you, and thank you for that. And also a thank you for those of you who continue to watch and follow and listen and subscribe to my channel. Your feedback and your comments have been very refreshing and very rewarding, and I appreciate them very much. Thank you so much for taking time to contact me and to continue to watch and to follow. I am recording and posting the January videos at the end of December. So up until January 1st, my specials for personal readings for December still hold, and that's $25 for a half an hour, $40 for 45 minutes, and $50 for an hour. And if you're interested in booking a reading in December, but actually scheduling the reading for January, the same December rates will still apply in terms of the special. And for those of you who are interested in a personal reading, you can click on the About button on my channel's homepage, and that will give you a little more detail about myself, the services I offer, and my contact information, which is Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. And for those of you who will be interested in booking a reading for the month of January, the specials I will be running that month will be $1 a minute, beginning at 30 minutes and going up to 90 minutes. And I do have a referral program too, that for those of you who refer someone to me for a book and confirmed reading will receive 50% off the reading of your choice. And in order to do that, when the person you refer contacts me, they just have to mention your name, and then we can go ahead and schedule the reading of your choice. And thank you very much for those referrals. I've actually already gotten a couple, and it's been very rewarding and gratifying, so thank you for that. So let's get into this reading. This is for Virgo for the month of January 2016. What does the first month of our beautiful new year hold for Virgo? Virgo for January 2016. Virgo, January 2016. Okay. For the first week, we have the Page of Wands, followed by the Magician. For the second week, we have the Eight of Swords, followed by the Three of Swords. For the third week, we have the Knight of Pentacles reversed with the Eight of Pentacles. For the fourth week, we have the Six of Pentacles with the Hierophant reversed. And as your overall theme and general advice of the month, excuse me, the card from the bottom of the deck is the Knight of Swords. So I apologize ahead of time for any pauses during any of my readings. As those of you who read know, sometimes the thoughts and messages come together pretty quickly, and sometimes it takes a minute or two to put the story together. So Virgo, we begin with the Page of Wands, followed by the Magician card. Now the Page of Wands can represent a young person or an actual child in your life. The pages also represent messengers or messages, which is often how I see them in readings. This would be, the personality of the Page of Wands is a very passionate, very exuberant, very creative and intuitive sort of person. This is somebody who might be bringing a message or delivering messages of some kind of creative project or some kind of creative breakthrough of some kind. This can also represent somebody who is in the early stages of something, or who is actually learning and eager to learn. about something new and just in general the world around him. Now it's paired with the Magician card, and it makes for an interesting interpretation with this particular coupling. The Magician is a major arcana card. I've been tongue twisting all day today with readings. And I like to call the major arcana cards the fingers of the divine, um, or God or spirit, the universe, whatever your spiritual structure is. And the magician represents somebody who has, this card speaks to having everything that you need within yourself, with which to accomplish something or make any changes in your life. It shows a man who's juggling the major elements from each of the suits. And this is somebody who has, through a long life of experience, through trial and error, has come to a place where he is very experienced. He has all the tools he needs. He knows how to use these tools. And he's just generally a very efficient and very self-sufficient sort of individual. This is someone who has everything that he needs with which to accomplish any goal or any project or make any decisions, and affect the action needed to move on those decisions in his life. Now, paired with the Page of Wands, the feeling that I'm getting is that you end the month of December and enter the month of January 2016, brand new year, feeling either feeling compelled to make some kind of changes in your life, or for some of you, the feeling that I'm getting is that you're being talked to by someone, or you're getting messages about perhaps some changes that you need to make in your life, or changes that you need to make in regards to yourself, is what I'm getting. For some of you, it almost has a kind of a being lectured sort of feeling. But the Magician card speaks of having everything that you need with which to make these changes. It feels like you're feeling maybe an inner compulsion. If this isn't something that's coming to you or coming at you from another individual in terms of being pushed to make changes, it could be for some of you that, being how we're going into a new year, this could be the traditional New Year's resolutions where you have decided, or you're in the process of trying to decide about some changes that you are going to make within yourself and in the way that you operate and look at things in the world in the coming year. And the Magician speaks of being able to make those decisions, whatever you're feeling compelled to change, or whatever resolutions you're beginning in this new year. The Magician is assuring that whatever self-doubts you may have, that you do in fact have the knowledge and the experience and the creative intuition with which to accomplish these changes and make these goals a reality. The Magician is a pretty self-assured, self-sufficient sort of individual, and he's also very clever and very experienced. So, Virgo, whatever it is that you're going into the new year, contemplating changing or considering opportunities for change that are being brought to you, it looks like if you choose to do so, that you have the experience and the knowledge, and the creativity with which to be able to do that. And it feels like these changes are very, very creative and have a real passionate base to them. Uh, yeah, so that's interesting. Now, in the second week, um, it looks like you're still struggling with a bit of a challenge with these changes, whether they're changes that you're struggling against, or it looks like you're struggling with some thoughts in terms of the feeling I'm getting is whether you actually want to make these changes or not. In the second week, we have the Eight of Swords, followed by the Three of Swords. And I would like to stress too that even though these are cards that represent each of the 4 weeks of the month of January 2016, the timeline of the cards is not entirely definitive in beginnings and endings. The energy represents basically what's going on for the month of January, but this could easily have begun in December and carry over into February as well. So in the second week, we have the Eight of Swords. Now, the Eight of Swords speaks of the element being that of air, and the suit representing our thoughts, our ways of thinking, our reasoning, our logic. And the Eight of Swords is always a card I feel that represents being held hostage by your thoughts or by a way of thinking or by a perspective on something. This woman is bound by chains and she is blindfolded and she is completely encircled by these eight swords. But if you look closely at the card, the chains aren't really connected to anything. And if she just twisted her wrist, these chains would fall off and she could remove the blindfold herself, which speaks to a strong theme of complicity in this, of compliance and keeping yourself blind. And it feels, Virgo, like particularly following this coupling that speaks of wanting to change something or needing to change something, or people, for some of you, I feel it's going to resonate that somebody's actually telling you you need to make certain changes or pushing you into making some kind of changes in something that you do or your way of thinking or something about yourself. And it feels like there's a real struggle with you, and it feels like there's something you're actually not seeing, and something that you're keeping yourself from seeing, because regardless of whether or not you're the one that originally put this blindfold over your eyes, you are the one keeping it there. You could easily remove this blindfold and see the truth of something, because swords is also one of the universal symbols of truth. You could see something, whatever it is that it feels like you just, like something, the feeling I'm getting is that there's something in front of you um, that you know is there, but you're not really, for some reason, you're not really willing or you're afraid to take a closer look at it because of what it might mean. And that it might actually, once you see the truth of this situation for what it is, that you're going to feel compelled to take action and make changes. And I'm actually getting a bit of a feeling on this. And for some of you, the reason why you're having difficulty or you're in a period of indecision about changes that perhaps somebody is telling you or a group of people are telling you needs to be made is because there's just there I have a feeling that something is trying to tell you something, or someone is trying to tell you about the truth of something that needs to change, something that needs to change, and you're just not willing to look at it for the time being. For the time being, um, you're still keeping yourself within this circle of swords, within this certain perspective, when it's in fact you that can remove this blindfold. Now, this card is accompanied by the Three of Swords, which is a card I don't really like seeing in readings. I see this card as, it's a heartbreak card. It can represent actual breakups as well. It's a card about feeling a deep sense of emotional pain. It can represent a feeling of betrayal. Um, it can also represent, uh, because swords also speak to the truth. This could also speak of a sense of deep emotional pain and heartache uh, that comes from having something, someone or something um, has kind of cut to the heart of the matter and revealed something in the cold light of day that's very difficult for you to handle. And this is going to play out a couple of different ways for you, Virgo. For some of you, the reason that you're keeping yourself blind and blindfolded and chained up in this perspective that you are really clinging to, because you have experienced some sense of heartbreak or heartache and betrayal, some sense of deep emotional pain, or the reason that you're keeping yourself, and I feel this is actually for a larger portion of you, the reason that you're keeping yourself blind, that you're not yet ready or willing to take this blindfold off and see the truth of something as it really is because you're afraid that once you do, this is what's going to happen, that you're going to find yourself in a situation where you just feel very hurt, um, very alone, and just in a very painful sort of place. And also, the feeling that I'm getting that is that your fear is that if you see this and you find yourself in this place where you're feeling a deep sense of emotional pain, that these changes that you are resisting right now, you're going to have to take action on something. If you see it for what it really is, you're going to have to take action on something. And you're in a place where you don't feel like you're ready or able to do that. And so for the time being, uh, it looks like you're feeling like you're just not ready to take that blindfold off yet because you're the only one that can. Now, in the third week, we have the Knight of Pentacles reversed with the Eight of Pentacles. What I'm actually getting off this coupling of cards, the Knight of Pentacles in the upright position would represent someone who is very practical, very methodical, a very hard worker, somebody who's very good at saving their money, somebody who's very good at earning, someone who's very grounded. This could represent an actual earth sign, like you, Virgo, a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. And I'm actually getting that for the larger portion of you, that this actually does represent you. And in the upright position, it speaks of someone who's very grounded, someone who's very driven, very methodical, somebody who's a hard worker, and somebody who cares very much about doing things in a very practical sort of way. Um, this could also speak um, of somebody who is in the process of, I'm just getting kind of a feeling that, I'm getting kind of a feeling, Virgo, that the reason this is in the reverse is because something, connected with this first two coupling of cards, it feels like something has happened in the very recent past to put you in a situation, to put you in a kind of state of mind. It's almost a difficult reading to speak through because I'm getting such a sense um, of, of just being blind and of just being kind of stifled or blocked in a sense. There's really a sense of just of this internal feeling of being blocked and kind of stuck in the mud, so to speak. In the reverse, the Knight of Pentacles speaks of somebody who is, it feels like somebody's, you perhaps, Virgo, are in a place where you're acting a bit irresponsible. You're either being irresponsible with your money, because Pentacles is a suit that does represent things in our tangible environment, and it typically manifests as money, finances, resources, property, assets, things like that. It's an earth sign. And in the reverse, this would be somebody who um, is the opposite of practical and grounded. It feels like either you or somebody very close to you, but I'm feeling for the majority of you, it's you're being the opposite of the way that you typically are. You're being just in a place where you're irresponsible. You're not acting in a very practical or grounded manner. For some of you, this may manifest in that you're being irresponsible about your money. Perhaps you're overspending, or you're not sticking with your budget, or you're maybe playing hooky from work a little too much, and so you're not being as reliable and dependable as you typically are. And the reason I'm feeling this too as well in terms of work is that it's accompanied by the Eight of Pentacles upright, which is the card I always see as the worker bee card, which, if the Knight of Pentacles was in the upright, is a pretty nice pairing. This shows somebody who is sitting at their desk, they're hard at work on this pentacle, on this project. The sun is setting in the background and the candles are burning. This is somebody who works very hard, who's very driven, who's very dedicated, and very determined to get the work done that's in front of him. This is somebody who is working on building up his foundation and his resources and assets. This is somebody who's very reliable and very dependable. And the card also could imply that perhaps you have, at least up until recently, been burning the candle at both ends. This is just a very responsible, grounded person. It talks about the accumulation of wealth and comfort through hard work and through putting in a lot of effort and time and hours even. Now, paired with the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, I feel like, it could be that, the holidays were a very busy work time for you, and you're just in a place right now where you're not, you're actually being irresponsible. Maybe you're calling in sick to work, or um, you have, I mean, for some of you, it could be even as major as quitting a job. But I'm just getting kind of the feeling overall that it feels like something has occurred in your recent past, and it feels like you're being compelled or perhaps pressured to make some changes. And again, I'm just getting a sense for some of you that somebody's talking to you or a group of people are talking to you and maybe putting pressure on you to make some changes about something. And there are three Pentacles cards um, in this reading, which could imply that it has something to do with your job, your career, or just how you're managing your money and your relationship with money itself. And it looks like it's just something that you're not willing to look at right now, or you're really struggling, or you're really fighting with because of where you feel it's going to lead. And for the time being, you're just in a place where you're not caring too much. You're kind of veering off of the way that you typically do things, and you're just being kind of irresponsible and just not as reliable and dependable as you typically are. Now, in the last week of the month, we have the Six of Pentacles, which is a card that also speaks of, and in some readings it can speak of being given a gift. But as you can see, this person that's kind of throwing these pentacles out to these grasping hands, which would look like kind of a nice charitable thing to do, but he's not really paying attention to who he's giving it to or where they're falling or if anybody is actually even catching them. And I think in this reading it speaks to your relationship with money or your relationship to your job or career in some sense. There's a feeling of, just like in the prior coupling, the Knight of Pentacles reversed and the Eight of Pentacles, it feels like there's some kind of blocked, stagnant energy that you're just tired and you're in a place where you feel like you don't care anymore. And the Six of Pentacles speaks of having uh, uh, a relationship with money that perhaps is not the most grounded. The advice of this card would be to perhaps ask yourself, take a step back and look at what your relationship to money is, what your relationship to your job or career actually is. Because again, like with the Knight of Pentacles reversed, the feeling I get is something to do with being irresponsible with your money, or or not being practical about your relationship to money or how you look at your relationship to money, and you're not paying attention to where it's going or what you're spending it on. And again, I'm just getting a feeling that you're just in this place where you kind of don't care. You're being irresponsible about it, and you know you are, but just like with that blindfolded Eight of Swords and feeling this need to change or being talked to about changing some aspect of your job or how you're managing money or um, something like that, you're just in the position at the end of the month you find yourself in a position, Virgo, where it just kind of feels like you're not really sure. I think for some of you, you're not really sure what to do with your money, or if you're in a position where you have been irresponsible with your money or your budgeting, and you feel like there's a change you need to make. There's also a sense of not really knowing how to do that because your relationship to money itself, or how you view um, how you support yourself, is actually kind of skewed, and you're not really sure. You're just not really sure how to manage it better than you have been. Now, this card is accompanied by the Hierophant in reverse, and in the upright, the Hierophant speaks of it can speak of an actual organized institution, a church, a corporation, a group of people. It speaks of convention and tradition of doing things by the book. Um, it could also represent marriage, but I'm not really getting much of any kind of emotional or relationship stuff in this reading, Virgo. It doesn't look like this is going to be, for the majority of you anyway, a prevailing thing in this month. It looks like it's just got something to do with finances or budgeting or your job or career. There's something that needs to change or that you're being compelled to change, but you're just not really willing to look at it. And for the time being, you're not being all that responsible or practical about it. And the Hierophant in reverse, And I'm kind of getting a connection to that first coupling of cards, the Page of Wands and the Magician, that for some of you, this was going to represent somebody talking to you or trying to pressure you to make changes about the way you're going about living your day-to-day life, managing your money, um, dealing with your job or career. The Hierophant in reverse speaks of sense that I'm getting is actually that this combination of cards feels like you're going to be in contact with someone or a group of people or some kind of organization. It could be at your job, your place of business, and it feels like people are talking to you about something that you're doing, the way that you're managing your job or your money or budgeting, something like that. And it feels like there's kind of a not exactly a hostile environment, but it feels like you're being, again, I'm just getting the sense of, I don't know how this is resonating for you, Virgo, but again, I'm getting the sense of just being lectured that people are trying to present something to you, or that you're acting in a way that someone or this group of people or your boss perhaps, somebody is seeing as kind of irresponsible, and they're pressuring you to make changes or talking to you about it. And it just feels kind of like some verbal conflict going on here, that you're at odds with these people that are talking to you, or you are making decisions about your job or career or your finances that people are disagreeing with, and they're trying to talk to you about it. And it feels like I'm just kind of getting a sense of verbal conflict, of being in conflict with people over something. It feels like you're being, it almost feels like you're being, I don't know if disciplined is the right word, but pressured somehow. Somebody's saying, hey, you're not doing a good job, or you're not performing up to standards, you're being irresponsible and unreliable, and you need to make changes. You need to make some kind of changes. There's something that you need to look at that you're not willing to look at, because it's perhaps going to prompt you to make changes, and you just don't want to do that. And it looks like this is a theme throughout the month for you, Virgo. Um, and it's interesting because the overall card that you got for the general feeling theme of the month, and advice as well, is the Knight of Swords. So you actually have three sword cards and three pentacle cards, which, very strongly implies that it's got something to do with your money, how you make your money, how you manage your money, or how you perform your job itself. And the Knight of Swords speaks of being brought a kind of truth. And the Knight of Swords is somebody for whom the truth is very important. And the Knight of Swords is somebody also, when he brings the truth, he's not going to sugarcoat it. This is someone who will deliver the truth with almost a cold clarity, and he's very blunt about it, and it just cuts right to the heart of the matter. And as this is the overall theme for the month, in addition to the cards that are in here, it feels like, again, it just feels like there's something that you're not willing to look at, a way of thinking, a way of looking at your perhaps your relationship to money, or how you're looking at your job, or how you're managing your money somehow that feels a bit skewed and irresponsible and not grounded or practical at all, which for an earth sign is what you guys are all about. It's part of the foundation of your personality. It looks like at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month that you're being talked to about this, you're being pressured in some way, but at least in the middle of the month, you're having a struggle. You don't want to listen to what these people are saying. You don't want to take a look at what they're trying to show you. Um, but the overall theme is of something being revealed, of a truth being revealed. And the advice of Virgo, of the cards, would be that seeing this situation, whatever it is for you, in its clarity, taking a step back, and taking more ownership and more responsibility in the situation that you find yourself in, is what is needed and what is called for here. The Knight of Pentacles reversed also speaks of refusing to take responsibility, or refusing to take ownership in a situation that you find yourself in, that's that's imbalanced in some way, but you just don't want to look at the part that you've played in it. But the overall theme and feeling of the month is that this is really what's necessary, and this is what's called for in order for you to remove yourself from the situation, figure out how to fix it, and move on. And it looks like the help is available there for you. It looks like there are people around you who are either trying to talk to you about it or help you in some way. And it looks like there's some kind of conflict and struggle and maybe going back and forth and arguing and debating about who's right and whose fault it really was. Um, but this could really be moved through. It really looks like it begins and ends with taking a step back and seeing it for what it really is and for what part that you've played in it. So what an interesting reading, Virgo. It feels like kind of a bit of a turbulent month, kind of going back and forth, and I kind of get a sense of being pressured by other people, and that being very uncomfortable. I almost want to apologize to the earth signs for the month of January. I leave the finer points of astrology to those of you who are experts because I am not. But along with Taurus and Capricorn as well, there was just a lot of turbulence for you guys, and a lot of conflict, and a lot of some pretty deep emotional pain. Um, but really, again, Virgo, it looks like the advice of the cards is all about being honest with yourself and with the people around you and the part that you've played in whatever situation this is that feels so imbalanced with job or money or resources or a combination of all of them. And that's really what's called for, is just to take an honest look at it, take the blindfold off. Um, and the feeling that I'm getting is that it's not going to be as bad as you think it is. At the end of the day, even if it's uncomfortable, the truth is always the best. The truth is always the best policy. The Knight of Swords is all about this is what you need. You need to take a look back and take a look at the situation and see it for what it really is, because the advice of the Magician card is also that you have everything that you need in order to move out of this situation and into a better and more abundant situation, a more practical and grounded situation, which is really the basis of who you are. So, Virgo, I hope that this resonated for you or gave you some sense of insight and clarity, and perhaps some food for thought on where to go moving into this new year of 2016. And I look forward to seeing how this plays out for you. If this didn't resonate with you, I suggest you also check your rising and your moon sign as well. Um, but this is what seems to be coming through loud and clear. If you would like an extension on this reading or more personal reading, again, just click on the About button on my channel's homepage, and that will give you a little more detail about myself, the services I offer, and my contact information. So until then, and until I see you again in February, I wish you all the best, and as always, joy and peace and a happy life, Virgo. Thank you.